So today I'm going to be reviewing a book on Chinese sword forms. Hi guys, my name is Joe and welcome to my channel, Fighting Words, the Martial Arts Library. On this channel I review martial arts books and talk about other martial arts related subjects. The subject of today's review is Elementary Swordplay and Broadsword-Play. It was originally published in 1983. My copy is from 1999. And it doesn't have an author, but it does have a compiler by the name of Victor Wu. Now, I've tried to look into this, but I couldn't find out a whole lot else about Mr. Wu beyond the fact that he is listed as a compiler as opposed to an author. In the context of this book, I'm not clear what that means specifically. I'm going to assume that it means that he drew from multiple sources in the writing of this book. He has also authored or compiled two other books in this series, one of which I have. This is book number 7 in the Chinese Kung Fu series. It was originally published out of Hong Kong. I do have a few different books from this series. I have to admit I haven't sought out all the books from it. Based on the fact that he is listed as a compiler for 3 of them, but not all of them, because this is book number 7 in that series, I'm going to assume that the others are attributed to different authors. Now, the book itself contains 2 different Chinese martial arts forms, one for the Jian, which is a double-bladed straight sword, and another one for the Dao, which is a single-edged broadsword, sometimes also called a saber or a large knife. So it has a curvature to it, but it isn't curved in the same manner as you might see in, like a Western-style cavalry saber or a scimitar. And one thing I notice about this book is that neither one of the forms are given a name. This is more common with Chinese forms that they do have a name associated with them. So I find that a little bit unusual. The book is not done through photographs, but rather it's done through pretty photorealistic sketches. One thing of note is that before the form, each chapter will actually give you a list of the techniques that are included. Then you get to the bulk of the forms. The way the forms are presented, you have the figure in the sketch performing the move. Then you have what's usually a good solid paragraph describing everything that's going on. Oftentimes it includes a little section at the end. It says remember and emphasizes some key points. You will also get lines of movement through this, so you will see where your next move is supposed to go as the form progresses. Now, another thing that stands out to me, the broadsword form will use solid arrows for the limbs on the right side and dotted arrows for the limbs on the left side. For whatever reason, this is not done in the straight sword form. I have to confess I'm a little unclear on the origins of the forms themselves. I'm wondering if they are from modern wushu. It just seems unusual to me that they are not attributed to, this is part of Northern Shaolin, or this is part of Choi Lei Fut, or whatever. So it might just be, this is the standard way this form is done for this environment. Now, I know that was very brief, but there's not a whole lot to this book. So let's get into the pros and cons. The pros, it's very clear when it comes to illustrating the movements and also describing the movements. That's it. If you want to do your best to learn how to perform a sword form from a book, this would be a pretty good source for that. As far as the cons go, it could be a lot more thorough than it is. You know, as I mentioned, the forms themselves are not given names. And there's nothing, like in many other martial arts books, before you get to a form, you were given a section of basics. This does not include that. So from that standpoint, you're not learning how to fight with a sword, you're learning a single form for each of the swords. Recommendations. If you want to find out what a sword form for both Jian and Dao look like, this is a good book for that. Obviously, this is primarily geared to practitioners of Chinese martial arts. As a reference book, I think it's interesting to sort of compare and contrast, you know, the movements they have in common with those that they don't, you know, just based on the shape of the swords. Unfortunately, this is more inferring their use as opposed to being told their use. If you are a sword enthusiast, you know, again, these are probably not the best sources, but they are okay sources. In looking for information on Mr. Wu, I found this book in a couple of places for less than $5, you know, on various resellers. So it's cheap and it does a very specific purpose pretty well. This might be the shortest book review I've ever done, but again, there's not a whole lot that actually goes into the book itself. You know, here's a list of the moves you're going to do, here are the moves and how to do them. Here's the book. You know, that's it. So anyway, thank you guys for watching my video, and I will be back next week, usually with another book review. Definitely another video. Anyway, thanks again, and I'll see you then.